Hey friends, and welcome into my How to Get Rich guide for Lost Ark. When it comes to gold in this game, it's not something you can just infinitely farm, and you're going to need a ton of it long term, especially in tier 3 when the content gets released. But I'll be giving you some big boy tips in this guide, especially when it comes to selling accessories and stones, so make sure not to miss that. And this guide is going to be geared towards everything you can do in tier 3 because it won't be that long, hopefully, before that releases in EU and NA, and you'll be able to do a bunch of this stuff leading up to it. But let's get right into how to become a Lost Ark Giga Chad and buy all the costumes that you could ever want. So first off, one of the most important things that you're going to have, and this is going to be relevant right from the get-go in tier 1 when your character hits level 50, is you want to press Alt and J. This is going to bring up in the EU and NA version called the Una requests. So these are your dailies and your weeklies that you'll be able to do, which end up filling up this bar over to the left. Once this bar fills up to each segment, you'll be able to claim the Una badges by clicking the Take All button here. And at higher gear score, you can claim more of these. And these Una badges, you'll be able to trade in to the Gold Exchanger NPC. So in Burn, it's going to be over to this side. There's the NPC. Click on him and you will have either a gold pouch, a gold chest, or a gold casket. You'll be able to trade them in, costing 80, 200, and 500 of the badges respectively. Now for the gold pouch, obviously this will give you a little bit of gold with a very small chance for a light or heavy gold plates. The gold chest is the same but gives you a bit more. And the gold casket, you see, this actually has a chance to drop you a gold bar. So it'll give you more gold in general, but it's definitely worth, if you're patient enough, to save up for these just for the chance of that gold bar, because a gold bar is extremely rare, but it will actually give you 10,000 gold if you get one. The heavy plate gives you 1,000 and a light gold plate will give you 100 gold, and you can get multiple of these every time you open one. So there's a bit of RNG involved, but this is going to be one of the main ways, especially in tier 1, that you're going to be making gold. So make sure to do this every single week. Another tip that you can do is have a second account, because obviously bringing this up, you can only claim this once per week. So if you have a second account, that means you can do 2 sets of these per week and then just send the gold from your second account to your main account. Next up is life skilling, and this is definitely something you don't want to neglect if you want to get lots of money. There's different ones you can do, from herbalism, mining, lumbering, etc. But you'll have your energy bar at the bottom middle of the screen here. You get roughly 3,000 energy per day, and if you leave this capped at max, you're just wasting money. Once you've gathered the resources, you can sell them on the auction house, or you can craft them into potions, etc. in your estate and then sell them that way. But in terms of min-maxing, this will vary region by region, and we won't know what is the most profitable until the servers have come out and also matured a bit. Once you get your estate to level 15, there's a very short quest you can do to unlock a private life skilling area on your own estate, and the materials you get from this are slightly different for the ones out in the open world, but you can use these materials to craft potions and bombs, etc. at discounted prices with the materials you gather. For this, just press Ctrl+1 on your estate, go to the workshop, then the chests tab, and then over to the chests here that you can craft. This in the long run will save you a lot of gold, meaning you'll be richer. If you have an excess of pirate coins outside every single port, you can go to the ship NPC here, purchase things like these weapon crystals, and sell them on the auction house for extra gold. You can do this with all of your characters. You can even just send them to your main. From doing your daily Chaos Dungeons and Guardian raids, you'll get upgrade materials like these that you can sell. In Chaos Dungeons, those shards are personal, but going up to the Guardian raids, the ones you get from here, you can sell. So the more alts you have, the more times you can do these, and the more of these you can sell, as well as the accessories, but I'll go into accessories later on. Another note on Chaos Dungeons, once tier 3 content is unlocked for EU and NA, you can overfarm the Chaos Dungeons by expending your energy and then keep farming them, and you'll get these materials here. Going down to the NPC Exchanger, clicking on tier 3 here, the citrine shard packs actually sell for quite a bit of money. On tier 1 and tier 2 content though, on Russia at least, they're not tradable. However, all of the tiers of content, you can go across to the other pages and you can actually get accessories. And again, I'll explain accessories later on, but you could hit the jackpot. You can also get gold from Affinity. So going to the main menu here and clicking on the Affinity, there are different NPCs that have different rewards. Clicking on the magnifying icon here, you can see the different rewards that these characters give once you get their Affinity up. And hovering over this one here, you can see it's gold coins once you become best friends. Again, because this is Russian version, the names and all this stuff might change, but it's definitely worth going through the different NPCs from the different areas and seeing what they give, because some will give gold coins, which is literally just gold. So making sure to speak to these NPCs like the king here and ranking up the Affinity will get you money. There's various other content in the game like the cubes that requires tickets to enter, like these ones here, but once you've done these, you have a chance at getting combat books, which are the engraving books, which you can sell in the auction house to make more money. And depending on what tier of content is out at the time of you seeing this, the test paths, for example, give you the jewels. You can sell those on the auction house as well. Lost Ark also features a whole host of daily events. Clicking on the upcoming events here in the top left, you'll be able to see lots of things that are going on throughout the day, and there are certain events like this one here that give gold. If you were to edit the widgets underneath the minimap on the right hand side by clicking this button, you can take off slots, for example, and if you put on the compass, you can click on that one, you can see the different events that can happen. Field bosses can get you engraving books and other things that you can sell to make money. Ghost ships will reward you with upgrade materials as well as books. Chaos gates I'll go over in a second, and the adventure islands, if you hit schedule, again, this just brings up what you can see here. The Cerrado Island you can get gold for, but not everyone you can, so just bear that in mind. They're not available every single day, but they are definitely worth doing. When it comes to the Chaos Gates, from here you can get a whole host of rewards, but you can also get maps. These maps you get are like secret dungeons. Once you complete them, you get bags and books that you can sell on the auction house or use for yourself. But there's a really big tip when using these, and that's to make sure you're in a group of 4 when you do them, making sure everybody else has a map as well. They come in different rarities to give you different color bags, which will sell for more or less depending on what you have. How these work is when you're in a group, you right click them and you click share. It'll tell you where you need to go, and depending on which one you did in which zone, that will be where the actual dungeon is. So for example here, I need to go to the runes, which is in South Burn, and I need to find the area on the map, walk up to it, and you can open it up. Everybody goes in and completes a very short dungeon. Just make sure you're all on the same map and in the same channel, and at the end you will get a reward. Ideally you want to do this when everybody else has one, because if you go in by yourself you'll get only the reward for yourself, but if you go in with a group of 4, then everybody gets a reward, quadrupling the amount of resources you get from that dungeon. However, what you would then proceed to do is do the next person's dungeon, then the next person's, then the next person's, quadrupling the reward for everybody. Another piece of ticketed content you can do is the platinum fields. These crafting licenses you get from just doing life skilling around the world. You'll get them randomly, and these give you materials again which you can sell on the auction house. None of the life skill energy is consumed when you do these, and you've got a field for herbalism, lumbering and mining, and one for hunting, fishing and archaeology. So just make sure to pick the right one, and again ideally you want to do this with a group of 4 as you can get extra rewards. Moving on to some of the Giga Juice gold you can get from this game, that comes from selling accessories and also stones. So if there's anything you take out of this video, this is what's really important. Going across to the bidding section on the auction house, you can see that you can sell accessories, stones, equipment and gems. Clicking on accessories and clicking on all, there's loads of different tiers from tier 1 stuff to tier 3, but if I just go to tier 3 because that's where we are in Russia, and the most bought ones, which are the artifact level ones, because this is the end game stuff for right now. Clicking on search, you can see there's a whole host of different prices, and there's also 3,000 pages. So let's narrow things down and make it way more simpler. Clicking on the advanced bit here, the details, you can actually search down the bottom here by things like combat characteristics and also by engravings. Section here, you need to get a little bit of game knowledge for knowing what engravings are good and also what stat points people are going to want to buy. Just to give you a quick hint, critical, speciality, and agility, this one's called swiftness in EU and NA version. These, depending on the class and on the build, are going to be the stat points that most people want. Subdue, again, might be named something different, endurance and proficiency. If you get accessories that have these stat points on, they're probably not going to be worth too much, but still might sell. So, for example, let's have a look at my ring here. You can see my ring has speciality, it also has grudge, and it has fast. And at the top, there's also quality. So, for things to be worth an absolute fortune, and I'll show you in a moment, a lot of stuff has to line up correctly. And this is where, I mean, you can hit the jackpot, or most accessories in the game are actually pretty worthless, and you're going to dismantle them. So, grudge and fast on my ignition sorceress are very, very strong engravings. So having those line up is stage 1 of me putting a tick in the box for, is this ring worth anything? The next thing I'm looking at is the stats. Speciality is another tick in the box, so that's a good step so far. And then the higher the quality, the more of the stat you'll get. So the more speciality this ring will give, but the higher the quality, the more the ring's going to be worth again. The accessories also have a negative effect, but you don't have to worry too much about that. So yeah, get some game knowledge in, learn what engravings are good, and if you need to know what engravings are, then I do have a video on my channel explaining what they are. But just know that when you get engravings that are good, like Grudge and Massacre, then these rings and necklaces and earrings, for example, can be worth a fortune. So if I go back to the search and go combat characteristics, I'll click on something like critical. The engravings, I'll go with Cursed Doll, and also scroll down to Grudge, because these two are very good engravings. If I hit search, then we'll have this one here. If we've listed it by buyout, then you can see that the different quality of these earrings generally dictate the price. We have 5 pages, and some of them, when you start going up even further, start to get very expensive. Pushing all the way to the end, these ones here, for example, have 98 quality, and this person's listed up for very expensive. If I go to this one here, it's got Cursed Doll 5, Grudge free, and again, it's very good quality, and you can see the prices that these start to go up. If you go over to the second tab here, this is ones that have actually sold. So if you get very lucky with, for example, a class engraving on a class like Sorceress that's very popular and just come out in Russia, then this necklace, for example, sold for a whopping 150k. If I go over and show what it is, it's got critical and speciality, so very good stats that have lined up. It's got Ignition 5, which is a class engraving, and Grudge free. These are quite rare to get these kind of accessories, especially for it to all line up, so this is why it's gigajuice price. If I go to search, you can see there are none on the auction house at all, which is why they sell for so much. So just to recap, does it have stats that people want? Does it have engravings that people want? And then fingers crossed it's a good quality and it will be worth a fortune. When it comes to ability stones, again, you want to be going up to like the highest available on the server, and then it depends on the engravings that are on there. For example, I know that Massacre and Sharp Blunt are generally worth quite a bit. So if I sort by the buyout here, you'll be able to see they start at 1000 and start going all the way up here on Russia. So lining up the correct engravings and being lucky enough to get them is what's going to get you some money. So yes, there's RNG involved, but also knowledge is power when it comes to getting gold. So my honest recommendation when it comes to getting stones and accessories is to learn what are the top engravings, Massacre, Sharp Blunt being very good ones, Grudge, Cursed Doll, Awakening. There are a whole bunch that are pretty good. And then once you start searching through for them in the auction house, you'll be able to get a general idea of what the prices are. So have a little experiment round to find out which ones are good, and also when a new class is just released, if you're able to boost one up quickly and get class engravings which also line up with the other good engravings, you could be in for a fortune, because remember, you cannot get class engravings on accessories unless you're playing that character. There are also dungeons and raids that can give you liquid gold. For example, once tier 3 comes out for us and you get to 1370 and above eye level, then you'll be able to do a abyssal raids like Argos, and Argos over here gives you gold for completing it. Every stage, because Argos has stage 1, 2, and 3, once you complete each stage, you get amount of gold. There are also, again, coming into tier 3, the void dungeons, and these are called abyssal dungeons in our EU and NA version. The Auria's Heart tier, they give you gold until you reach 14, 15 eye level, then they stop because you out level them. And another way of doing it is, for example, the Legion raids. So Volton, Beakis, etc. These all give gold as a reward. Getting the correct gear score and getting a group and doing these is one of your main ways to be able to farm gold. Just note that with Argos, for example, they've stopped in Korea you being able to get gold on more than 6 characters per week. So this is where the importance of alts comes in if you want to start your own gold farm. One of the last things I want to talk about is back in the auction house, again back to bidding and on equipment. You can actually sell equipment that you get that has good tripods on. So searching again by tier 3 and by artifact, these are items that drop from chaos dungeons and you can just dismantle them for upgrade materials. However, the tripod effects that are on them are completely random, and sometimes you get ones that are really good. So this comes down to knowledge of classes and builds, and again, if you're new to Lost Ark, this is going to be very overwhelming, all of this is, but just know as you get more experience with the game that different tripods might be worth quite a bit of gold. So if I search by buyout here, so if I start to skip ahead, let's go 10 pages and a bunch more, you can start to see that these can build up in price. And that's because they can have some really nice tripods on and the correct level of them. So once you find out more about the tripod system and about upgrading them in tier 3 content, then if you get lucky in a chaos dungeon and get a piece of gear that has some nice tripods on, you can list it in the auction house again and get some extra money, instead of just dismantling it when it might be worth like 4k gold and you've just dismantled it and it's worthless. So for example here, this one has Fist of Destruction, Shaking Area at level 4, which is a decent tripod. You can also go to the details, open this up and search in this middle section here for tripods. So a Death Sentence and Single Attack, I know that these two are good on scrappers. So if I search for this, you can see that this one here has level 4 Fist of Destruction, Shaking Area, which is a good tripod, but it's got the Death Sentence, a Single Attack, level 3 on it as well. So that's why this person has listed up for 4k. So instead of just dismantling this, he's trying to sell it to make some more money. The last thing I'm going to mention here is gems. Lots of different content in the game gives you gems. This starts from tier 2, but if I search here by tier 3, then you get gems at different levels, and you can combine free level 1 gems into a level 2, free level 2 into level 3, etc. And these go all the way up to level 10. But if I start to go to the next page, for example, and again, you can see that they start getting quite expensive, because the amount of gems it takes to make a level 9 is an absolute ton, so these are worth quite a bit. These you can trade freely on the auction house, and as you learn about this system and what the gems do, just know that this is another way for you to be able to get some gold. Alright guys, I know that was a lot. Just remember, you can always find me live on twitch.tv/BentleyGamingTV if you want to ask any more questions. I also have a very active Discord, which will be linked down below, with over 1,400 members, and it's full focused Lost Ark with loads of information and very friendly and helpful people. But I recommend grab a cup of coffee, go back and watch the video again and let the information sink in. Let me know if this guide was helpful for you, and if you have any more tips for other people to get even more gold, then write that down in the comments as well. And remember, if you like the video, give it a like and consider subscribing. I really appreciate all you guys, and I hope you at least learned something, and I also hope you have a very nice day. And until the next one guys, see you now.